WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. The new school year is now just a couple of weeks away, and some school districts are still wrestling with what they believe is the best for students and staff to return. In Louisville, some parents are worried about the district's plans. The proposal has the students returning to the classroom, and virtual courses are only being offered to students with medical problems. Parents we talked to say students should be given more options to learn safely. They believe their concerns are being overlooked by school officials. Now they're planning to show up at Thursday's school board meeting to make sure their voices are heard.
We've done a survey of the options that parents want for school. 65% said they would prefer virtual, 32% said they would prefer hybrid, and 0.01% said they would want it traditional. So that lets us know now that our parents are not feeling safe with their kids going back into that classroom.
It makes me feel like they're being kind of selfish at this point and overlooking the fact that we have parents, and without the parents and the children, there's no school.
Yes, there are parents who work and they have to send their children to school. But however, if we were mandated in March when the pandemic broke out to do social distancing and do learning online, then why can't we have that option now without consequences?
Now, the plan is just a tentative one the district has released. The school board will vote on Thursday when they meet whether to adopt the plan as is or make some changes. That meeting is at 5:30 at Central Office. You can see the full plan for yourself. It's on our website, WCBI.com. Businesses and people who work for them are discovering daily challenges when it comes to testing and COVID-19 and when to work. An employee at a local restaurant says she was told to work when she should have been in quarantine. Our Bobby Martinez talked to that employee today and a mother whose family was working alongside her. He joins us in the studio with that story. Bobby?
Andrea, the restaurant employee tells me she tested positive for COVID-19 last week. Prior to that, she says she was informed by her manager she was experiencing COVID-19 symptoms and claims she was told to work because she has a high temperature. She wants to remain anonymous, but is sharing her story because she says this disease is something people should continue to take seriously.
I'm hoping that whenever somebody actually tells them something, that they take it more serious than their company.
Anger and disappointment.
If it had been handled properly in the beginning, this all could have been avoided. My child would not have been exposed.
Are two of the many emotions expressed after a local restaurant employee tested positive for COVID-19 last week.
I had my temperature taken. I was not running a fever, so they didn't send me home.
The employee says she then got tested and continued to work while waiting for her results. She says she felt physically better as the days went on. The news of her results took her by storm.
So then the hospital calls me and was like, yes, has anybody called you regarding your COVID results? I was like, no, ma'am. And it was like, okay, well, you did test positive. And I just kind of dropped to my knees and covered my mouth. I was like, oh my gosh.
And once she got her results, she immediately went into quarantine. But the conversations with her and management is what caught her off guard.
I had got a phone call from my manager later that day talking about why didn't you tell us that you were sick and all of this other such. And I was like, I did tell y'all that I was sick. I told you that I was sick the night before and I needed you to take my temperature. And you said I wasn't running a temperature. You was like, no, you're fine.
And now Amy Taylor, whose son and brother-in-law have worked alongside the infected employee, is hoping the restaurant takes action to disinfect the restaurant.
They have yet to close down and deep clean.
Taylor says this has been a trickle-down effect for her entire family.
My entire family had to be tested for COVID-19. On the 16th, we went to the free testing at the soccer complex. We were lucky to get an appointment. Our paperwork states that we are to self-isolate. We are to stay home. We are not to go to work. My husband and I are not allowed to return to work until we can provide them with negative test results.
I also reached out to the restaurant's corporate team for comment, but have yet to hear back. Mayor Robert Smith is also looking into this as well.
All right, Bobby Martinez in our studio with that story. Thank you. The Mississippi State Department of Health is reporting yet another record-breaking day of new cases. 1,620 and 635, new coronavirus cases, along with 31 deaths were reported by state health leaders today. 5 of the 31 deaths are from death certificate between June 30th and July 12th. 3 new deaths were reported in our viewing area. Lee, Lowndes, and Tishomingo counties each reported a death related to the virus. MSDH has a data breakdown of COVID-19 weekly trends. If you'd like to see that data for yourself, you can go to msdh.ms.gov. Well, police and sheriff's departments throughout the region are dealing with COVID-19, trying to minimize their risk while performing their duties. In Tupelo, several police department employees tested positive for the coronavirus. As Allie Martin shows us, officers are taking extra steps to keep things safe and make sure there's no shortage of patrolmen.
When shelter-in-place orders were issued back in the spring, police officers did not get to work from home. They still had to be out on the streets doing their jobs. But when several TPD employees tested positive for COVID-19, they were quarantined, and precautions continued to protect officers and the public. Whenever a patrolman comes to Tupelo Police Headquarters, their unit is wiped down. And at the end of each 12-hour shift, the cleaning is repeated. The precautions were in place before several employees tested positive for COVID-19, and those precautions are now part of the daily routine, which includes cleaning of office space every morning.
Pre-COVID, we had to do a real good job of keeping things clean just by the nature of the business that we're in. We come into contact with a lot of people that may have been sick or have some type of disease. So cleanliness and personal protective equipment were a part of our routine even before COVID hit.
Captain Chuck McDougall says once the positive tests were reported, the employees were sent home to self-quarantine and adjustments were made to ensure there was no shortage of officers protecting the public.
We've been able to maintain all of our shifts at optimal levels, all of our special units at optimal levels, with the reserve on standby. If there was a reason to bring other officers in, we've got them ready to go.
New policies have also been put in place for court hearings to keep everyone safer.
Historically, we would bring someone from the jail to the court and back. Now we do all that via teleconference or Facebook conference or Zoom conference. That lets us eliminate the possibility of cross-contamination between different buildings. So that's working well. I would assume that that'll probably continue on into the future once we're past this current crisis.
The city of Tupelo has had a hiring freeze because of the economic impact due to the COVID-19 related shutdowns, but that could be lifted for the police department to make sure there are more than enough officers on the streets to protect and serve during these uncertain times. In Tupelo, Allie Martin, WCBI News.
And Captain McDougall also says the public has shown its support for the police by bringing food along with masks, hand sanitizer, and gloves and other personal protective equipment for the officers.
More showers and storms across our region today. Our Alpha Insurance camera in downtown Columbus picking up on one of those thunderstorm complexes that moved on through. Lots of lightning, loud thunder, heavy downpours, some refreshing breezes. We'll take what we can get when it's so hot and humid. We have one complex of storms lifting to the northwest of Batesville away from our area, and we still have some downpours here, mainly in Tishomingo County near Iuka. The worst of the weather now lifting north into Tennessee, so all the really strong activity is moving away. We have some cloud cover that will be gradually thinning as we get into the evening hours. So our rain chances quickly dwindling here. We may see some fog later on this evening and tonight, especially if you had the rain. Temperatures will be very muggy tonight, lows in the 70s. Your full forecast in just a few minutes.
Gambling and drugs, that's what agents with the Lowndes County Narcotics Task Force discovered when they executed a search warrant in Crawford. Sheriff Eddie Hawkins says his agents, along with those from the ABC, found illegal gambling at a house on Harvey Gray Road. They also found ecstasy and some marijuana. 26-year-old Henry Lee Mayfield of Columbus is charged with possession of marijuana, that is, with intent to distribute. 37-year-old Kelvin Coleman from Crawford is charged with possession of ecstasy. The homeowner has been cited for facilitation of gambling. The sheriff says there may be more arrests in this case. Tupelo police are investigating a shooting at an area apartment complex. Police say this happened at the Harrisburg Landing Apartments on Hancock Street around 10 o'clock last night. Police were told there was a man shot there who drove himself to North Mississippi Medical Center. Investigators say the victim was treated and released. They're still trying to figure out exactly what happened. If you have any information on this shooting, call Tupelo Police or Crime Stoppers of Northeast Mississippi. A contested town marshal's race from 2017 will be decided finally today. Voters went to the polls again in Okolona today to decide the race between Tommy Ivy Sr. and William Randall. Tommy Ivy Sr. challenged the results against Randall. Randall won the race by 1 vote back then. A judge ruled some votes cast for Randall were not lawful and should not have been counted and took Randall's name off the ballot. Well, the state Supreme Court overruled that decision, ordering the mayor to set a new election date for the town marshal race. We will update you on the results of the election coming up tonight on WCBI News at 10. Some major cities are telling Washington thanks, but no thanks when it comes to help dealing with protesters. We'll take a look when we come back. Welcome back. Federal law enforcement officers have been clashing with protesters in Portland, Oregon, using tear gas and other force to crack down on the demonstrators. But as CBS's Dania Bacchus reports, city and state leaders are not necessarily welcoming the help.
Federal officers fired tear gas and used flash bombs on people demonstrating against police brutality in downtown Portland overnight. It was the latest clash between protesters and, in some cases, unidentified federal agents.
They were in camouflage and they were in unmarked cars, and they were grabbing people off the street.
President Trump sent the agents to Portland to get a handle on violence during the protest and protect federal property.
President Trump will not give the violence a pass. The well-organized mob in Portland has become increasingly aggressive, especially against law enforcement officers.
On Monday, the president suggested he'd send federal officers to other cities. CBS News obtained a Department of Homeland Security memo that shows the agency is preparing to deploy officers to a number of cities, which could include Kansas City and Albuquerque. But first up is Chicago, where they will send 175 agents.
The Trump administration is not going to foolishly deploy unnamed agents to the streets of Chicago.
Instead, Mayor Lori Lightfoot says Chicago will receive resources that plug into the existing federal agencies that the city regularly works with. New York's mayor says he's ready to meet the president in court if federal agents appear on his streets without permission.
If he tried to do it, it would only create more problems. It would backfire. It wouldn't make us safer.
Back in Portland, protesters say they'll be out on the streets again tonight for the 54th night in a row. Dania Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
State and local authorities say they did not ask for federal help. They're now waiting for a decision in a lawsuit that seeks to restrain the federal agents' actions. A Florida man will serve time in federal prison for making threats against employees at the Tupelo-based American Family Association. Monday, U.S. District Judge Sherry Polster Chappelle sentenced 21-year-old Chase Davis of Florida to 6 months in jail. On May 22nd of last year, Davis threatened to, quote, kill every single person associated with AFA. Judge Chappelle ordered Davis to report to prison today to start serving his sentence. Once he has served the sentence, he will be under court supervision for 3 years. He was also ordered to pay $1,440 in restitution costs to the AFA for costs they incurred to protect employees after the threat. Well, some of us around here got a little bit of relief with the afternoon thunderstorm, shower, I guess is what it was.
Some showers, some storms out there. We'll take any relief we can get. Andre, check this out in Tupelo. Before the storms, we got a high of 97 degrees. The clouds are building and building, and here it comes. Some refreshing breezes, some rain. We'll do this again tomorrow. Your full forecast is next.
WCBI First Alert AccuWeather Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Well, where have you seen this forecast before? Scattered storms, chance of storms, warm and muggy conditions. That's the forecast here. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 93 tomorrow, 94 Thursday and Friday. So more or less the same story here. Our time lapse from Durham's at Vernon. You can see the clouds building, and here comes that outflow. Some gusty showers and storms, some heavy downpours earlier for you in Lamar County. Some spots today in the region getting over 2 inches, others getting nothing. So feast or famine. The strongest wave now lifting into Tennessee, but still raining in Burnsville, northern Tishomingo County, some downpours, some lighter rain. Also back to the northwest of Sardis, northwest of Batesville. That complex is moving back to the northwest. So the heavy rain on the way out. Looking across the big picture, there were a few isolated showers and storms to our south earlier. Those are fading away. So once these clouds and those light showers fade over the next couple of hours, we should become partly cloudy or mostly clear later this evening and tonight. And that could support some fog development in those areas that had the rain. But we are much cooler now in the wake of the activity. Upper 70s, low 80s in many spots. And you can really tell where the storms have been. Rain-free for the most part in Meridian today. 100 degrees is what it still feels like, but for us, it's actually quite comfortable. Muggy, yes, and that could give rise to areas of fog later tonight. 73 degrees for your low with calm wind. And for your planner tomorrow in Louisville, we start out in the 70s, and it looks like we may start to see some of those showers and storms bubble up by late morning into the afternoon. Temperatures will be topping out somewhere in the lower 90s. We're thinking about 91 to 93 in most spots here on our Wednesday. So warm, steamy, scattered showers and storms in the region. There you go. That's the way it's going to be. That's the way it has been. That's the way it will continue to be. So we may see some fog in the morning. If you wake up to some low clouds and fog, that will mitigate the initial heating, but we'll break up some of those clouds and likely see some warm weather give rise to scattered showers and storms, and that will fade away by early to mid-evening tomorrow. And then we'll just duplicate this as we get into your Thursday as well. Pretty quiet start on Thursday and more scattered showers and storms in the forecast here Thursday afternoon, probably for Friday into the upcoming weekend. Now, we don't think the weekend's going to be a washout here. About 20 to 30% coverage, but there will be some storms around. That's typical for this time of year. Steamy all week long through the weekend into next week. Low to mid 90s for highs, lows in the 70s. Andrea?
The high school football tour hits the halfway point. We preview the Belmont Cardinals when we come back.
WCBI Sports with Courtney Robb is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
Sports continues to fall victim to COVID-19. The Southwestern Athletic Conference announcing that fall SWAC has officially been postponed until the spring. Impacted sports include women's soccer, women's volleyball, men's and women's cross country, as well as football. Each of those will not compete until 2021. The conference is now planning for a 7-game conference schedule with practice beginning in January of next year. Alabama A&M, a team in the SWAC, was scheduled to play Mississippi State prior to the 2020 Egg Bowl. That is on November 21st was the original scheduled date. The Bulldogs have not made a statement on whether or not the team plans to schedule another team for that date. We continue the high school football tour with the Belmont Cardinals coming off a 2-9 record. Head coach Jason Coker leads the Cardinals into 2020 as they hope to return to the playoffs. Take a listen.
WCBI Sports 2020 High School Football Tour is brought to you by Itawamba Community College, Cannon Ford of Starkville, Monroe County Farm Bureau, Max South Broadband, and the Bank of Vernon.
Go! There we go. 2019 was a tough season for Belmont, but the Cardinals look to right the ship in 2020. The team brings back some key players that will play a big part in their success if they can stay healthy.
The kids have worked pretty hard this summer, and we're bringing back a lot of experience.
I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to winning. Got a lot of younger bodies coming up, so hopefully they can help us.
To get the best out of the younger Cardinals, the seniors have made it a priority to help guide them on this journey.
Trying to help the other players, encourage them, what they do. Because I know, people get down. I do it myself. Just try to keep your head up. Just to lead my team differently, push everyone to their max, and just literally just push the limits every day.
The Cardinals bring back depth and returning starters on both sides, something they didn't have last season.
When we graduated our running backs, there wasn't a lot of depth. We'll have more depth this year at running back than we've ever had. Defensively, we'll have 9 coming back off our defense, so that experience will be, you can't replace that.
Despite a shortened off season, the team has been putting in work in the weight room to be ready for the grind come September.
Definitely being in the weight room. I know a lot of us have had to put in work on our own because all this is going on. So definitely the weight room.
Getting stronger and faster, just trying to work on everything, just trying to get a better game in general.
That hard work will be put to the test as Belmont travels to play Tishomingo County September 4th. On the high school football tour, Chris Bolton, WCBI Sports.
WCBI Sports 2020 High School Football Tour with Belmont High School is brought to you by Belmont Pharmacy.
Hey, officially 30 stops down, which means there are still 30 more to go. Officially through the halfway point, we get back to action tomorrow with stop number 31. We check in with the Houston Hilltoppers. for that middle of the week action. And then to finish out the week, we have stop number 32, Knoxville County on Thursday. And then Friday, stop number 33, Calhoun Academy, as we head into Academy Week. And we continue on through all of those Academy schools throughout the weekend and into late next week. Of course, for any of those stops you may miss along the way, you can always go visit our website at WCBI.com. That's it for sports. More for you when we come back.
We have some sunshine developing in Louisville. Check that out. Otherwise, we have some cloud cover, some light rain that will continue to thin out going through the evening. As we zoom on in, way out from outer space into our area, you can see some rain out there, but that is on the way out. So we probably will not have the light show we had in some spots last night, but more scattered showers and storms here. Andrea, more heat, more humidity. It's summertime.
I was about to ask you, the humidity continues?
Not going to end anytime soon.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's the news at 6. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening.